Two, and one. Welcome in the latest episode of the Need for Seeds College Basketball Podcast. This is the Final Four preliminary edition until Big East Ben and I are together in Indianapolis on Friday night. We'll see what shenanigans we get into with A. Brooks Betts, who has been mysteriously absent from this podcast after, I guess
Will
he's
he
one.
make it?
Will he make it? I would suspect so because I think that's what he lives for in this world, hanging out with his friends. Though sometimes he hangs out without me and hangs out with his new friend at Big East Ben, hangs out and schedules trips behind my back, which I'm fine with. But funny,
Well,
funny that it
some people
happens.
relate to each other a little bit better
Yeah, some
at
people
stages in our lives.
stage in our lives. Some of us are dating, some of us are married, and some of us are looking forward to death. And we're moving on to the final four. Before we get to that talk, since there's only two games to discuss in this card, we'll have best bets end of show. We are 15 and 5, which is a sweet 75%. Not sure many podcasts out there have that sort of record. We're still a couple games behind Big East Ben's perfect NCAA tournament, I believe of 2023, but a couple years ago. And, we will find a way to continue to let the water find its level, try to find some winners. But let's talk about the incredible Elite Eight that it was that led into this Final Four. We now have four teams that have emerged. The early game is Illinois and Connecticut, followed by what some are calling the championship with Arizona and Michigan, but they do have to play twice. So we'll see how that goes. Big East Ben, let us in on what you're thinking about. Maybe not Saturday, but maybe the Sunday climax was the best part of the Elite Eight.
Best game of the tournament. A true where were you moment. The Mullen shot, the Leitner shot, Pearl Harbor, 9/11. You'll always remember where you were when you watch those events, and that Mullen shot falls into that category. An absolutely incredible basketball game, Griffin. The coup de grace of the tournament. The fact that Duke has given us this 2 years in a row. So before our podcast, I watched the last 2 minutes of the Houston Duke game. I have not watched that on television since we were there in person and we witnessed this live. And watching it back, I don't know how I didn't like black out from the absurdity of it.
What game? You did yell that on camera.
I did. And then to follow that up with a sequel of a 19-point second half lead. The other team still playing like dog shit for 39 minutes of the game, sans Terrace Reed.
Phew.
And Silas Demery, who has been getting no credit, by the way. Like people would say, like, yeah, Mullins made the shot, but like Terrace Reed, like, carried them through the game. Yes, those are both true, but like Silas Demery snapped them out of the slump, but the two back-to-back threes after they were 1 for 18, and no one's talking about that. I will give you your flowers, Demery. Um, the last, like, Caravan is still firing threes off the back of the rim. Solo Ball is still firing free throws off the back of the rim until they're
85%. Yeah, that was hurting.
under a minute left, and UConn still wins this game. So I ask you, where were you? What was your interpretation of that?
Well, I was on my couch, right about there. And I was thinking, you know, what a really lame Elite Eight. Illinois, Iowa was a pretty good game for a while. Illinois ended up pulling away late, did hit an under, which is good for the team. Then Purdue was very, very frisky early and then kind of fell apart second half where Arizona took over. I'm not really sure. It was about when the alcohol was really starting to hit.
Yeah, but you had Tennessee up 14-12 at one point.
Yeah, how'd it go after that? All I know is I was like, maybe fading the number one seeds in this NCAA tournament is not the way to make money. Because I think I lost about every bet. Maybe won a first half and lost a full game a couple times, but those were not great. And then I was like, well, and this UConn bet, Big East Ben's best bet for the Sunday Elite Eight card, was not looking great after Tennessee was literally playing garbage time and getting, I guess, an SEC tradition, just getting technical fouls.
Hey,
Just
Dusty May's son scored, so good for him.
great. Means a lot to me. Well, and then UConn was getting boat raced by Duke. Was 1 for 18 at, I guess not at halftime, but that was how bad it got before Silas Demery decided to make some shots. But also, Terrace Reed literally keeping them any sort of win in the game, while Alex Caravan, who beat my Michigan State bracket up basically, or ended my chances at winning anything with his incredible performance in the Sweet 16, and then following up 2024 Alex Caravan with 2025 Alex Caravan in starting 0 for 8, I think, from the field. He did it at 3 late, which was
Hey,
fairly important
Griffin, he impacts the game in so many other ways, though. You can't even look at that.
because he makes his coach a little calmer on the sideline because they like blow kisses at each other during the game, or what?
Ask Donnie Marshall. I don't know.
Yeah. What school did Donnie Marshall go to? I forget.
UCO.
Oh, Ed,
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 Ed.
you gone. Yeah. So that was awesome. Breaking news: John Shire has lost his job as Duke head basketball coach. Is that the headline coming
Can
up?
can I? I'll go first, and then you go first. Make your best Shire face for the camera. Ready? Here goes mine.
Great podcasting content, by the way. If you're not watching us on
It,
podcast or on Spotify, you can find us at Betting the Pitch at the real underscore G Warner on YouTube and Instagram, at Big East Ben on Twitter. Go ahead.
It is literally like, like the queasy face, like curved face emoji. It is literally that. All-time clips from this. I mean, I watched them all in shot, dude, a million times. Like the slow-mo angles, the like where it pans from Boozer to the Hurleys, like just a slow-mo, the Connecticut crowd, the Shire face. Uh, like it's been the Duke radio broadcast of Malachi Smith just ran onto the court. That should be a tactical
Trying to get a
foul.
technical foul. Yeah, they're totally gonna call that.
Who,
My
who
mom
was
sent me
who
the
was in the
video.
game,
Go ahead.
and then just like, dude, like that Caden Boozer play when UConn is literally on a zero blitz. There's nobody back. You just had
Great tweet
like
by
people,
you, by the way. That hit home for me.
right? It didn't take off, unfortunately. I thought it would, but yeah, dude. For them to lose on that. But all right, so tied back to the rest of my conversation, we saw Duke obviously on our televisions. You on the couch, me at the.
Where were you, Big East Ben?
Oh, I was at the Gaylord Resort in Colorado. Great sports bar there.
Ah,
Um,
I know that's your favorite place in most cities.
my wife came with me. It's one game of the tournament she watched with me. She was very entertained. She's like, the NCAA tournament's awesome. Like, keep doing this podcast. Like, this is a great
Let's go to the
hobby.
Sweet 16 again.
I really enjoy this. Like, keep going to the Final Four.
Great.
Um,
Great. I
so
totally
yeah,
love
like
that.
huge
Hey,
screens,
Court.
huge screens. Awesome experience. It was actually there was a room with TVs next to us where I think we're further ahead on the delay. So I heard like a huge applause. I'm like, all right, did UConn somehow tie this game? Like, um, but yeah, it was awesome, man. But anyway, to tie my conversation back together, watching the last 2 minutes of like Duke Houston is even crazier. Like the technical foul, Sharp just turning into Steph Curry, over the back, fouls on Cooper Flag, Sharp making those free throws. So I don't know. It's just those two games, man, is what makes March March, and I'm excited for this Final Four.
I mean, they say it's the most expensive ticket in history. We are searching for three. So if anyone out there at the real underscore G Warner at Big East Ben, hit us up at Eddie Brooks Bets if you want to get someone that's going to be awake in the wee hours because he's probably 10 dreams in by now at 9:11 p.m. Central Time. We'll be out there in Indianapolis. I'm getting in about 3 p.m. on Friday. Big East Ben is selling some soda until he gets there at about what time? 6? 5?
I'm getting in Thursday night around
Even
9,
better.
10.
Oh, even better. Okay. So
So
that's
I'll be
that's tomorrow.
downtown.
That's like literally tomorrow in 24 hours. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I do
But I
love
only
the
have the shirt for one day. We don't have multiple shirts, so I'll only be wearing it on Saturday. So
I need to find it. I'll be looking
probably
for it.
rock some MU gear on Friday.
Nice.
Mingle some elbows with the insiders. Get some scoop on the transfer portal.
Is that a phrase? Mingle some elbows?
Yeah, mingle some el. Yeah, mingle elbows.
Rub some elbows?
Yeah,
Do
I
some
know, dude.
mingling? All right. All right. I had the tequilas tonight, not you. Um, so that's a recap of, I guess, one of the games. We don't have the coaching carousel surrounding Duke just yet, but has North Carolina hired a coach yet? I heard Billy Donovan was eating at a Mediterranean spot at the Osteria in Chapel Hill.
Well, you missed the big coaching hire today then. Nevada Smith hired as the next coach of the Siena
Sienna,
Danes.
Sienna,
Great Danes? Danes?
Bulldogs, Sienna,
Danes. I think it's Danes.
Sienna Saints. That's what they used to be called.
Which the school account actually, for some reason, posted at April Fool's that they were re-hiring Paul Hewitt, who I didn't know coached there. And then
After
they
Georgia,
announced,
after Georgia Tech, yeah.
and then they announced Nevada Smith as the actual coach. So
So they're
I don't
doing
know if
an April
I don't know if
Fool's.
I want my program doing that.
They're doing an April Fool's joke on themselves. Wow.
Yeah, it's I don't know if I'd be too happy with that.
I guess if you can't beat them, join them. Yeah, one of my most beautiful failed relationships with this girl from Siena, actually. What's up, Catherine? Hope you're doing really, really well. So we're gonna go through the Final Four card. We're gonna find some best bets. We're gonna try to get you an idea of where we're feeling on Wednesday, April Fool's Day. I don't have any jokes planned. Biggie Spen's already told his. And like I said, we'll be out there in Indianapolis waiting for the prices to drop on some lower bowl seats. And we'll see you probably courtside for the second game of which is going to be great. I mean, I'm a little concerned that a lot of people in a basketball crazy state might stick around for that one, but we'll see. Um, so let's get into the lines now. I'll move to the college basketball portion of the show, at least the betting version, so we can try to get some ideas on where to make you all some money. Right now, Bet Online, I'm seeing Connecticut 2-point underdogs to Illinois in the first game. Total is 139. In terms of where this number has moved, hmm, uh, thought I had it. I don't think I've seen much movement. I did see initially a Illinois.
-1.5, or you give me -2.
There's two at Bet Online currently. That's the lines we've used all season.
It's 2.
Illinois -2, 139 is the total.
These teams matched up early this season at Madison Square Garden. I think
How
it's
did
early.
that go?
Not well for the folks from Champagne,
Nor
not
my
France,
nor my
not
betting
Europe,
nor my betting uh, account.
not Europe. Champaign, Illinois.
Mm.
UConn
Champagne.
absolutely rolled them at Stores South, aka
The Garden.
the Garden, the Mecca. Um, Teams were a lot different back then. Eric Ryba, Braylon Mullins had just returned from injury. They weren't playing big minutes. Terrace Reed, this was like the weird, like one game in the middle of he missed the first two cupcakes, returned for this game, and then missed the next two games. Didn't do anything, 0 for 3 from the field. And then on the Illinois side, this was before Keaton Wagler's, coming out party as the next premier freshman. I watched this game. UConn could not buy a three-pointer. Murkovic was terrible. Stojakovic, no, he played. The icks were not good from the outside.
Yeah, the itches were a little bit itchy.
The icks, yeah. Griffin, we call it the Eastern Bloc
We do.
because they must block a lot of shots, right? Like they obviously have a higher block percentage in this matchup.
It is April Fool's Day. So yes, because they block a ton of shots.
No, they don't. They're actually 20 spots lower than UConn. But they're tall, right? So they must have a great interior defense, especially because they play a lot of zone. They pack it in. They must have like a higher like 2 point defense, right?
Yeah, they are really great at defending.
The interior.
The interior, they're really great at defending the interior of the Siberian Peninsula.
Right. They're actually 30 spots lower on Ken Palm and 2 point
Ken
percentage
porn.
defense.
Ken porn.
Ken porn. Yeah, Ken porn. Hey,
Oh.
that's a genre no one's explored. We could have first mover advantage there.
Oh my God. Do you see this analytics profile? Oh my God. Have you seen this shot chart? That's actually been a Big East Ben rant before. Nevada Smith. Hey.
But dude, they have Europeans, right? They have long Europeans on the perimeter.
They do.
Like Europe is, a jump shooting country. They must know how to defend the perimeter, right? So Illinois must have like a better 3 point defense than UConn, right? Right?
Definitely.
No. They're 37th. UConn is 30th. Look, I don't
But
trust
they play in a real conference.
They played an 18-team conference. If the Big East had a 18-team conference and you multiplied UConn and St. John's by 2, it's basically the Big Ten, okay? Let's not get enamored with the Big Ten.
If the Big
Okay,
East had
Michigan,
18 teams, the SWAC would be needing to find a way into that conference at this point.
okay, dude, let's just listen. Who did Illinois beat? Who has Illinois beaten besides a really bad baseline jump shooting Curtis Sanak center led team in UConn?
Chris, they beat Texas Tech at home in a close game.
No, in the tournament.
Oh, they beat Tennessee on a neutral. They won at Ohio State. They
Nope, I said
demolished
in the
Missouri.
tournament.
I know. I'm not playing by your rules. They won at Iowa by 6. They won at Purdue. They won at Nebraska. They in the tournament have beaten an 11 seed, a 14 seed, a Houston team, and a 9 seed. So they've beaten a 2, a 9, 11, and a 14 so far.
And all of a sudden we decide Illinois is a better team.
Who has decided that? The odds makers by making them a 2-point favorite?
Much from the well, what was Illinois rated before the start of the tournament? They were 5th in Ken Palm when they lost to Wisconsin. UConn was.
I think they were a 5-point underdog to UConn.
UConn was 9th when they lost to St. John's. Okay, so Illinois was still ahead of UConn at that point. But again, I think the Big East numbers bias it down. The Big East Conference is the one team. The Big East Conference, those are the only teams that have figured out UConn. Hurley, besides Furman, which Demery was out, and we were both on Furman because we knew Furman was risky. UConn has not lost a cover against in the NCAA tournament. Also, you didn't let me get to this point. I think it is a huge coaching mismatch. Brad Underwood against Dan Hurley. Yes, Dan Hurley had a very bad game against Duke. I thought coaching that last play where Demery was fouled, that reminded me of a Shaka Smart end of game out of bounds play, except they were not fortunate enough to have the opponent foul. So I think it is a huge coaching mismatch. I'm taking the UConn Huskies. Sorry for talking for so long. I've thought a lot about this. I'm very excited for the games. I will let you have the floor.
It's fine. I mean, it's a podcast. If you're not talking, then it's all on me. I do agree. So UConn, I think, was a 5-point favorite, was the number I took on Illinois earlier this season on a neutral. Coverage was saying 4.5, so in that range. It was one of those games that I tried to watch, and I was unable to because Fox took it down way sooner than they should have. But looking at the stats of that game, UConn's average lead was about 10 points. You mentioned they didn't get much from Terrace Reed. Illinois, 6 of 29 from 3. Not great. Really poor shooting percentage in general, below 37%. They didn't force any turnovers. Really couldn't shoot. couldn't make anything. UConn took advantage of that with some pretty average stats, but they played a good team. Um, to your point, the touchdown change in the price is pretty significant on two neutral courts. You could argue that maybe there was a point in there of home field advantage for UConn at the Mecca, at Madison Square Garden, at Stores South, but that's still a 6 point change, which is significant. And I think a lot of that's based on the conferences the teams played in. The Big East was pretty weak this year, I think you would say. And
It's going to be good next year.
okay, that's irrelevant for today. I hope so because the world is better when the Big East is good, and I just can't really handle Brian Hodgson making another comment about his recruiting and his wife or fiance or whatever for the next job he takes next year when Nate Oates leaves Arkansas or Alabama. Excuse me. Um, you bring up good points. The change in opinion of the marketplace is really significant, and I don't know that I feel great about that. However, I don't think Connecticut is that strong. I think they are a very, very strong front court player in Terrace Reed, and he literally kept them alive. I don't know how much we can penalize UConn for choking that Michigan State lead away and then going behind and almost looked like they were going to lose. Then big shots from Caravan down the stretch were really helpful. But I think it's about the supporting cast. You could argue that Illinois doesn't have a go-to player, which is also a problem. But I think the spreading of the wealth makes it so they're not as reliant on an interior presence that Illinois may be an expensive favorite here, 2 point favorites. But if they stop Terrace Reed, how do you see UConn winning this game?
That's the thing, Griffin. I don't expect them to stop Terrace Reed.
Oh, okay.
What Terrace Reed has in terms of bulk, strength, and footwork is like he's the most dominant player in the NCAA tournament. Zavic, Ivasic, either one of them, T or Z, is not going to stop Terrace Reed. And I think if you have that in your back pocket and you get a little bit of like shooting regression from the last game back to the mean, and you lean on your defense and you have a coach like Hurley, I just think UConn has the game plan to execute. And they've been here before. The coach has been here many times. And I'm going to trust that over a very good Illinois team, but at the end of the day is a bunch of European mercenaries and Hessians, and I don't want them winning a national championship.
There you go. So the heart plays their way into this.
But the stat you can't fault me on my stats.
No, I mean, it's certainly easy to build a paper tiger resume when you are against a really down Big East conference.
Oh my God, shut
You
the
can argue the Big Ten is certainly got a lot of teams in it, but not really sure many teams in the Big East would perform on any sort of level like the Big Ten did in the regular season. Made got a lot of teams to the Sweet 16, let's just say, and a bunch to the Elite Eight as well. I do think the move to Illinois 2 point favorite is significant. That's something not to turn your nose up at. And I think I'll be waiting to see how much UConn money comes in to see if that 1.5 you were mentioning earlier when we are deciding what number to use, that there is money out there on UConn. They certainly have the experience and the success in this tournament. And what Danny Hurley has accomplished is so significant compared to what Brad Underwood has not. I really like the makeup of Illinois. I think Kylan Boswell is a great cut the head off the snake defender. I don't know that there's a Connecticut point guard that really is so important there, but we've seen some really limited supporting cast issues with UConn so far this season. Um, Zvonimir and Tomislav Izvicic, they're both 7 feet tall. They might not have the bulk. They certainly have the length. And I think we see Illinois being willing to double team Terrace Reed and saying, good luck beating me with the Connecticut shooters. If they perform towards regression or regress to the mean and shoot well, that is a very likely route to Connecticut victory. If they struggle, like I think they will in a football stadium, I think we see a struggle for UConn scoring points. With that all said, we haven't talked about Illinois offense at all.
A note on the domes
hmm.
of Final Fours held in a dome. Lucas Oil is more it's not a does not have a horrendous track record of success with threes. It had a 2010, which was Michigan State, Duke. Who did Butler beat on Final Four to play Duke?
They beat Kentucky. No, that was in another. Damn. Butler Final Fours. They played VCU in 2011 in Houston. In 2010, they played Michigan State.
Okay. Well, Lucas Oil Stadium, it's in the three Final Fours since it's been open. The three-pointing percentage, if you take them at average, have not deviated much from the team's average in the regular season.
You want to guess the combined points in
That was the exceptionally bad one. There's also been an exceptionally good one. Yeah, I know. It was Butler UConn, right? Was the one?
uh Butler UConn was the final in Houston that I went to the semis of. But I'm looking at the scores from the 2010 Final Four. Butler defeated Michigan State 52-50, and then in the final, Duke defeated Butler 61-59. So those are terrible scoring events, but a lot I think dealt with the Brad Stevens way of basketball, which was run the clock down as much as you can, 35-second shot clocks, and as soon as you get in the bonus, just run into people and get your 91% free throw shooter, Shelvin Mack, to go to the free throw line. So we'll see what that ends up turning into. I'm still concerned about the sight lines because none of these players have played in football stadiums yet. And we'll
Hey, by the
move.
way,
Good.
on Shelvin Mack, he
Mm.
came up in my thoughts yesterday. Another coach we didn't cover on the coaching carousel was that Norred guy who was
Ronald
the
Norred. Yeah. He was on that
and
team.
he's quoted as the point guard on the Butler, national title teams. I thought Shelvin Mack was the point guard on those teams.
I think Shelvin Mack was the ball handler, but technically played shooting guard. Ronald
Wow.
Norred was like the defender and was shorter, so I think they called him the point guard by default. But
Shelvin Mack was way better. Butler should have hired him. I would respect Shelvin Mack. I would respect Matt Howard over Norred.
there we go.
Unless only if Matt Howard wore the T-shirt while he coached.
Yeah,
A
hopefully
big,
still.
heavy
Yeah,
cotton.
huge one, because
Yeah.
he had absolutely no muscles under there, but he was good at getting the line as well. We'll move to the what
So
people are
I think
calling.
you're on Illinois,
Illinois
Griffin.
minus. I'll take Illinois -2.
All right.
We'll move next to Michigan and Arizona, what has been adorned as the championship game in the semifinals. We will be there, likely at center court, once everyone leaves from whatever team gets really sad when they lose the first one. I'm thinking Connecticut. You're thinking
I'm
Illinois.
thinking Illinois. I
Michigan.
think those Illinois. I think we'll be fighting UConn fans at halftime of the Arizona Michigan game.
Well, one thing I've learned about
After
UConn
I say,
fans,
"Hey, wait till next year," Nigel James is coming for you,
mm,
losers.
yeah, what I've learned is if UConn fans are not fighting other fans, they will fight each other. So you just don't say anything and let them do it. Michigan, 1.5 point favorites to Arizona. Total is 158. Where has this number moved? Nowhere. But it was a little bit surprising, I think, to some that Michigan was a favorite here. Not necessarily to me. I was expecting them to be a favorite, but I was kind of in between the one and the two. 1.5 makes sense to me. Total's 158. How do we feel about Arizona being an underdog?
I don't agree with it, Griffin. I believe it is to be something we like to call in the biz recency bias.
Ah,
So people have short memories nowadays. People probably think this war with Iran has been going on for months, years. It's tough to keep track of the news.
yeah.
This
I
24
wonder
hour
why.
news cycle. We're bombarded with the Strait of Hormuz is closed.
The Strait of Hormuz from Hormuz is closed.
The Strait of Hormuz is closed. We're bombing Iran.
What? Boots on the ground.
Mullins from half court.
Onions.
Christy Gnome's husband's a cross-dresser with massive pictures with massive fake boobs. The Gnome family denies it. People on Twitter are saying, yeah, this was all part of a broader cover-up. So what I'm saying is the news cycles in and out.
Just straight over boost. Oh, somebody clipped that.
People are remembering Michigan's, what I'm trying to get to the point is, people are remembering Michigan's 33-point win, 31-point win over Tennessee most recently. Look, Michigan played fantastic in that game. Their shooters, Rodney Gale, Burnett, Lendenberg was shooting from that same exact spot. He hits all his three-pointers from. Like, he's always open there. Um, People forget that one, Tennessee, all their big men immediately picked up 2 fouls. So they're constantly playing a different rotation every 2.5, 3 minutes because Rick Barnes had nothing else to do. And you told they were totally out of sync in these in these
They
lineups.
also
Just
didn't make a shot for 7 minutes.
could not make a shot, and Jacoby Gillespie found out very quickly, hey, I'm gonna have to take over if we have any chance, and he did not take over. And so that is what is fresh in people's mind. People forget that Arizona not only did the same exact decapitation of Arkansas, most would agree to be a better SEC team, a much better SEC team, the SEC tournament champion in some retrospects, in all retrospects,
With all
than
due respect,
Tennessee.
yes, yes, indeed. They won the
They
SEC.
then
Yeah.
they then proceeded to beat and outscore by 22 points in the second half a Purdue team that, oh wait, the Michigan Wolverines, that's the same team they last lost to, is it not? By 22 points, outscored Purdue in the second half.
Dominant.
And you're going to make Michigan the favorite. Listen, people are making a ton of hubbubaloo about Michigan's 3-point shooting advantage. Hey, Arizona, doesn't shoot threes. Like, if they're outgunned on the 3-point line, they're screwed. Listen, Arizona has not taken threes throughout this season because they do not have to take threes. They are good 3-point shooters. They are actually just as good 3-point shooters as Michigan. They just are 311th in free throw attempt rate, or 3-point attempt rate. I'm sorry. They're just as physical as Michigan underneath. And frankly, sue me, I trust Jaden Bradley in a big game more than I trust Elliot Cadeau in a big game. Okay? Elliot Cadeau, you've had a great season. I still don't trust you. Okay? The one thing I am worried about, Griffin, the one thing I am worried about, what do you think I'm going to say?
Yaxel.
Look, first of all, on Yaxel, no one was a earlier supporter of Yaxel Lendenberg than me. I was talking about Yaxel Lendenberg more than anybody 2 years ago, was it not, Griffin? That UAB magical run to the American Championship.
You picked
And I
them.
was backing them
You
late in
picked
that
them.
season. Andy Kennedy, Gainey,
You,
the point guard,
you picked them. Butta Johnson.
Budda Johnson. I can't stand Yaxel Lendenberg. He is such a douchebag.
He said this is the best Michigan team of all time.
Like that, the belt to ass, the not taking anything seriously, the laughing when they put a freshman on you. Like, dude, you were a freaking nobody 2 years ago. And
Until Biggie's Ben puts you on the map.
look, long story short, I'm sick and tired of Yaxel Lendenberg. What I was going to say was maybe the state of mind of a certain coach on the sideline who might be thinking, of taking a certain job, except he's so focused on this job. And if something was to happen with his tenure at this job, there will be another great guy to replace him.
Don't worry,
Does that sound familiar?
Providence already filled their head coaching job.
The Sun is liking certain Instagram posts about certain Southeastern
He keeps
team
wearing
accounts.
he's wearing Jordans on the sideline.
Is the Sun?
No, Tommy Lloyd.
He's wearing Jordans on the
Oh
sideline.
yeah, always, bro. Yeah, for sure.
So that's the one thing I'm worried about. Other than that, if I lose, I will blame Tommy Lloyd. Never been a big fan of him as a coach, but I love this Arizona team too much. I'm backing the Cats plus 1.5.
Yeah, I'll take Michigan -1.5. Your points are very valid. I totally understand where you're coming from. It's weird because I have Arizona to win my bracket. I feel like when
Me
I've bet
too.
against, I feel like when I've bet against Michigan this year, I felt a lot worse than I've bet against Arizona. Yes, Arizona was banged up for a fair amount of them. Um, and to me, I don't see a huge difference between what I think is a pretty limited Michigan backcourt, but their front court is just so dominant that allows the backcourt to have open shots. I don't really know how Adai Mara is going to get stopped by Krivas. I don't think Krivas does anything
Oh my
offensively on
God.
Mara.
Come on, dude. You give
Dude,
Mara too much respect.
I did at UCLA as well, but he has incredible post moves that you just don't see from 7-footers in this day and age. And for that reason, I'll go with Michigan. Now, before we get to our best bets, make sure you follow us at Big East Ben, at the Real_G Warner across all social media platforms, Betting the Pitch Apple Podcast on Spotify, where you can get our podcast, and of course at the Real_G Warner on YouTube and on Instagram. Big East Ben, where would you like to go with your best bet? We are 15-5 in this NCAA tournament. I'm 8-2. You're 7-3. Not bad.
Yeah, and it's looking like that percentage is going to go down no matter what. But I'm going with UConn, UConn +2.
You got the two. I'll take Michigan -1.5 the nightcap. That'll do it for this episode of the Final Four podcast on the Betting the Pitch Podcast Network. The Need for Seeds is what we're called. We'll be back with you on Friday night when we get into Indianapolis. We'll see if the Strait of Hormuz is still closed or if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and tell you what the huggabaloo is all going on the next episode of the Need for Seeds College Basketball Podcast, presented to you by
Nobody.